important thanks to MomsRising and to all of our speakers here for sharing their stories and for demonstrating their solidarity with our brothers and sisters in Ecuador and the need for a TPS, temporary protected status. In recent years, Ecuador has been gripped with unprecedented violence, gang violence, and brutal homicides, extortion, prison riots, and attacks on civilians. They have become really the norms of life in Ecuador. Between 2017 and 2023, Ecuador's homicide rate increased by 800%. The murder rate also hit its highest rate in 2023 as gang went on a mass murder spree following the assassination of anti-gang presidential candidate Fernando Villavicencio. In 2024, things even got worse with additional gang takeovers of prisons, bombs exploding in cities, and gang hijacking of an on-air news broadcast in Guayaquil, all of which has caused Ecuador's government and voters to enact martial law in this once peaceful nation. The Ecuador public prosecutor, Cesar Suarez, who took concern over this effort by gang leaders to take over this newscast, began to investigate the attack and was shot and killed earlier this year. Earlier this year, the Ecuadorian Foreign Minister, Gabriela Sommerfeld, officially called on the United Nations to grant TPS, the United States, to grant TPS for Ecuadorians fleeing the violence. Our bill, the TPS for Ecuador Act of 2024, will provide TPS status for more than 300,000 Ecuadorians currently present in the United States, protecting them from deportation back home to a very dangerous situation and providing them with work permits so they can support their families in the U.S. We all know how TPS accelerates the process for work permits. President Biden did it for Venezuela just recently. And so we're asking for the same to be considered for Ecuador. Outside of Congress, the Biden administration also has the power to designate Ecuadorian immigrants for TPS, and we call on them to do so right now. For that, I want to introduce my colleague and good friend, and someone who has been a strong advocate for immigrants' rights, unyielding advocate for immigrants' rights, even in a very tough climate where the other side tries to impose their wrong views that America is no longer a nation of immigrants, when in fact it is still a nation of immigrants, and the future of this nation is pretty much tied at the hip, going at the hip with immigration. So I would like to introduce my good friend, Jesus Chuy Garcia from the state of Illinois. Thank you. Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
Come here from all over the country, the Ecuadorian community, to join you, lift your voices, asking for hope and opportunity from the Biden administration. We gather here today because Ecuador went from being a relatively peaceful country to having highest reported murder rate in Latin America, as my colleague has underscored. There's been an explosion of organized crime and gang violence throughout the country. Armed groups have threatened journalists, medical institutions, community leaders, and the public at large. Just this last year, there have been almost 2,000 homicides across the country. It's our responsibility to provide stability to Ecuadorians who are coming to our country seeking safety. That means expanding access to TPS for eligible Ecuadorians. It means people fleeing violence are protected from deportation. It means ensuring Ecuadorians are able to work
with papers so that they can support their families as well. Chicago is home to the fourth largest Ecuadorian community in the U.S. Despite the well-documented insecurity that has driven these constituents to make a dangerous trip through the Darien Gap, many of them are in removal proceedings and face imminent deportation. These are our neighbors and our friends, and we must urgently give them the stability and the peace of mind that comes with temporary protected status. This is why I joined my colleague, Espaillat, in introducing the bill TPS for Ecuador Act. This is why we sent a letter to President Biden requesting this critical relief for thousands of Ecuadorians seeking TPS. And this is why President Biden should not wait any longer. He should use his power and grant TPS for Ecuador now. It's the least that can be done for
para afirmar nuestra posición a favor del TPS para Ecuador, una medida necesaria que garantiza la seguridad de más de 300,000 ecuatorianos en territorio norteamericano. Le pedimos esa acción al presidente Biden, está dentro de su jurisdicción de poder extenderle el TPS a los ecuatorianos. Un momento dramático del crimen y la violencia en su país. El nivel de homicidios ha subido un 800% y ha atacado todas las esferas de la sociedad ecuatoriana. Por tal razón, como representantes de ciudades como Nueva York y Chicago, que tienen una presencia importante de personas de origen de Ecuador, le pedimos al presidente Biden que le extienda el TPS, que consigue traer también la autoridad de poder trabajar y traer el sustento a las familias de esas personas diariamente. Así que pedimos eso de la administración de Biden y estamos aquí rodeados de diferentes organizaciones de gran importancia, incluyendo MomsRising, que fue la organización que vino a mi oficina con este pedido que junto a la embajada ecuatoriana que apoya esta iniciativa, estamos trabajando fuertemente. Así que le damos la bienvenida a Patricia Elizabeth Vinuesa.
All children playing in the park to the quick moment, spent exploring the maze of a good book or taken playfully toward forget admit this moment of gratitude as a mix of satisfaction TPS is trying to the very fabric of our community. It's open doors of opportunity, not just for jobs, but for countries, others to build and benefit from themselves and their families. However, the states are giving takers from us. One of our children is on the autism spectrum, and the proof of his being deported to Ecuador fills us with dread in a country plagued by violence and lacking the necessary resources for our children. Our family will be vulnerable and insulated. TPS isn't just about economic prosperity. It's about safeguarding the well-being of our loved ones and ensuring they have access to the support they need to thrive. The prospect of the population isn't just a distant threat. It's a hard reality that hangs over our heads every single day. The truth of being torn apart from our children, leaving them without the care and stability they deserve, is a nightmare. No matter however hard to endure, but it is not just about us. It's about the countless families who face similar struggles and deserve the chance to build a better life for themselves and their kids. So, I just go right there, okay? The White House to stand with us. Together, let us protect our families, keep our community strong, and uphold the fundamental principles of justice and humanity. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. Thank you, Chuy. And now we're going to hear from one of our college students and prospective TPS beneficiary, Angelica Robo.
Buenas tardes, good afternoon everyone. My name is Angelica Hidrobo Castillo. I'm a student at the University of Connecticut. I'm a community organizer and I'm a proud immigrant from Ecuador. I was 12 years old when I came to the United States with my parents and my two younger siblings, fleeing financial instability and violence that has only gotten worse. Like all parents, my mother and father wanted their children to be safe and to be able to pursue their dreams. Now, 15 years later, I'm so grateful for the lives that we have built here, and I'm proud of all the ways that we have made our communities stronger. But 15 years later, the threat of deportation is still a chilling reality for all of us. TPS for Ecuador will be transformative for my family, for many Ecuadorian immigrants across the country, for young people, for workers, and for the economy of our country. TPS will mean access to fair wages, access to higher education, access to healthcare, access to driver's license. Most of all, TPS will give us a peace of mind that we can continue contributing to our communities without worrying that we will be ripped away from our families. Right now, Ecuador is the most dangerous country in Latin America, leading the highest percentage of homicide rate. During the current internal armed conflict, we have seen the death of many civilians, including the murder of 5 mayors in the past 6 months. Deportation of our families would essentially be a death sentence. Growing up with a fear of deportation was nothing but short of traumatic. When I was a teenager, anytime that my family will interact with a police officer, my blood will run cold. I remember clearly each day when I came back home from middle school, and I worry if one of my parents will not be there from work that day. On top of that, my family has a struggle without the economic opportunities that a work permit will offer. My parents are two of the most hardworking people I know, and they have moved heaven and earth to provide for my siblings and I. But without legal status, their opportunities are limited. My mom works cleaning houses and hotels, and my dad has worked in construction for more than a decade. Their work powers our community, but many times they have been exploited by their employees by being paid less or by their wages being stolen. This is completely inhumane and unjust. Despite of their hard work, they still don't have access to health care, despite that we have been paying taxes for the past 50 years. TPS will change all of that by offering the basic protections that everyone deserves. My brothers and I have worked hard to pursue higher education because we have dreams of bettering our communities. But without this type of protections, we can't apply for FAFSA, we can apply for many scholarships or for jobs related to our degrees. These challenges inspired me to become a community organizer when I was 17 in my last year of high school. Despite these barriers, my brother earned a master's degree in economics. We're so proud of him, but we're also very frustrated because without a social security number, he can work on the field that he has studied for a really long time. He's currently working as a busser in a restaurant in Massachusetts. And any job is a dignified job, but where does the talent go when we don't have the opportunities to apply for the jobs that we have been working towards the degrees that we have achieved? I'm pursuing a degree on psychology, but without protections like TPS, I won't be able to use that degree either. TPS will allow me to access my dream job and achieve my full potential. I know that immigrants across the United States can relate to my family's experiences. We're counting on the White House to listen our stories, to stand up for TPS for Ecuador. As the situation in Ecuador grows more and more dangerous, this is an emergency. I urge President Biden, the Secretary of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas, to designate TPS to Ecuadorian migrants who are risking life-threatening situations where if we were deported, it will be a death sentence. This is a humanitarian situation, and immigrants are human beings. We deserve to live lives with dignity and respect. Thank you.
Now, of course, we are going to hear from the Senior Director from MomsRising, Linda Lopez Stone. Linda.
Good afternoon. My name is Linda Lopez Stone, and I am an Ecuadorian immigrant. I have called the United States home for the past 20 years. And I am also a mom of 3. And I am here to call the White House and ask for TPS for Ecuador. Every summer, I take my kids to visit my parents in Guayaquil, Ecuador. And we couldn't do it last year due to the ongoing internal conflict that is facing my home country. The danger feels the minute that you touch the airport, because you don't know if the person that is reviewing your passport is texting someone outside and telling them that you're bringing 2 suitcases from the United States. represent fellow Ecuadorian immigrants who, like me, have lived here for many years. With TPS, they will have access to work permits, so they can continue providing for their families, so they can have fair wages, so they can have healthcare. Healthcare is a human right, and so they can also sustain their families back in Ecuador. And that will help to decrease the Ecuadorian immigration. TPS for Ecuador is urgent because of the situation that is facing the country, but it's also urgent because we need families to stay together. We cannot tolerate children, many of them who have been born here in the United States, like my children, to be separated from their parents. TPS is necessary. By providing work permits, Ecuadorian immigrants will continue contributing to the U.S. economy. Immigrants are essential. We need you, the country needs us. And finally, TPS is the right thing to do. Ecuadorian immigrants are your friends, your neighbors. Our kids go to school with your kids. We are here to stay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, MomsRising, for bringing members of the community that will be directly impacted and for your leadership on this issue. And we're happy to have also the Embassy of Ecuador here in solidarity. We ask Soledad Peña Plaza, the charge of affairs of the embassy, to come up and say a couple of words.
Buenos días a todos. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to thank U.S. Representative Espaillat for inviting me to this space to be the voice of the Ecuadorian community in the United States. We wish to be granted a temporary protection status that will provide them, among other benefits, a legal status and work authorization, allowing them to support themselves and their families while contributing to the American economy and development. This status is not just a legal provision, it is a lifeline that would afford them the stability and security to contribute meaningfully both to the American society and to the Ecuadorians. As many of you are aware, Ecuador is currently grappling with severe economic hardships and escalating violence. In the face of these challenges, Ecuadorian President Daniel Noboa has declared a state of emergency and acknowledged an internal armed conflict to highlight the perilous conditions that Ecuadorians face back home. His unwavering commitment to combating corruption, crime, narco-terrorism, drug trafficking, etc., is a testament to our dedication to upholding democracy and the rule of law in our region. In this context of crisis, I, alongside Minister of Foreign Affairs, Gabriela Sommerfeld, appeal to the solidarity and wisdom of the United States government to grant TPS to our migrants. The tangible risks faced by Ecuadorian nationals if compelled to return to Ecuador cannot be overstated. The request for TPS is not merely a formality. It represents a request for protection for those who have sought refuge in American soils. The collaborative efforts of the Ecuadorian government and the expatriate community in the U.S. emphasize the urgency and importance of this appeal. Let us not overlook the invaluable contribution that our migrants make both to Ecuador and to the United States. The remittances sent back home serve as a crucial financial backbone for families and communities in Ecuador, while the labor and dedication of Ecuadorian workers enrich the American workforce and society at large. The government of Ecuador places its trust in the humanitarian leadership of President Joseph Biden and the esteemed members of this Congress to heed our request. By extending this lifeline to our compatriots in the United States, will not only be safeguarding human life, but also reinforcing the bonds between our two nations, and the cooperation that unites us in the face of common challenges. As we stand here today, I urge our American counterparts to consider the profound impact that the decision of granting TPS to our community on the lives and futures of countless Ecuadorian men, women, and children who bravely have come to the American soil.
This gesture not only provides a crucial lifeline to those in need, but also aligns our efforts in combating shared threats, democracy and security. By supporting our request for TPS, the United States can emerge as a beacon of solidarity, demonstrating a commitment to justice and humanity that transcends borders. Together, let us bridge divides and build a future where every individual, regardless of their origin, can thrive and contribute to a more inclusive and prosperous society for our whole country. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And now we have also a representative from the Hispanic Federation, the Vice President for Federal Advocacy, Julieta Lopez. Julieta.
Buenas tardes. Good afternoon. My name is Julieta Lopez, and I am the Vice President for Federal Advocacy and Network Mobilization at Hispanic Federation. Thank you to Congressman Espaillat for gathering us here and inviting me to bring the perspective of Hispanic Federation to this important conversation. And thank you for your unwavering leadership and commitment to immigrant families. Thank you to our colleagues at MomsRising and the TPS for Ecuador Coalition. Hispanic Federation and our over 650 member organizations across the country urge the administration to designate temporary protected status for Ecuador immediately. Ecuador has faced challenges over the years. In 2016, there was a horrific earthquake from which the country is still recovering. Communities were left destroyed and many lives were lost. Many communities have not been able to rebuild their homes, schools, and vital infrastructure. In addition to ongoing natural disasters, there has been economic instability and an increase of organized crime and political unrest. Currently, Ecuador is under an internal armed conflict, making it unsafe for more than 500,000 Ecuadorian nationals to return to their home country. According to the Human Rights Watch, Ecuador's homicide rate has surged 228% from 2021 to 2023. That doesn't even include the numbers that we know have increased in 2024. The surge in crime has placed Ecuador as one of the top 3 most violent countries in Latin America. The increasing influence of organized crime networks has eroded the rule of law and caused fear and insecurity. Ecuadorians find themselves caught between the threats of violence from criminal entities, natural disasters, and economic stability, coupled with political turmoil. Granting TPS for Ecuador is the immediate solution needed for individuals who have been admitted into this country, yet have been stranded in legal limbo with no real or timely opportunity to work. The only thing these individuals want is a chance to work hard, to provide for themselves, their families, and to contribute to society. These individuals also are trying to return to their home that is currently unsafe. They want to return to the families they left because of uncertainty. They want to return to their homes, and they want to return to many of the businesses that have been left unabandoned. By granting TPS to Ecuador, the United States can provide a lifeline to those individuals who have lived in uncertainty for fear of decades. TPS would allow them to work legally, access critical health care, and contribute to their communities while awaiting improvements in conditions in Ecuador. Not only is designating temporary protected status for Ecuador the proper humanitarian response, but this policy is also fiscally responsible and will strengthen our economy. With the current labor shortage, this designation will allow thousands of new workers to participate in our workforce. We urge the administration to grant TPS for Ecuador so that those who have found sanctuary in the United States will now have this life-saving opportunity and have the capabilities to fully contribute to our country. We also urge the administration to expedite work authorizations and protect even more families who want nothing more than to be self-sustaining. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I want to thank all of you. This is a great coalition for Ecuador, and I think that if we stick together, si nos mantenemos unidos, luchando para este tema que es de gran importancia, no solo para Ecuador, sino para los Estados Unidos también, podemos lograrlo. Así que le exhorto a todos ustedes mantenerse unidos bajo el mismo lema, TPS para Ecuador. Gracias. Any questions?
Congressman, I'm wondering what impact would this have on asylum seekers from Ecuador in New York City specifically?
Well, for New York City, it's important because we see the rise of migrants coming from Ecuador. And we see that the common denominator with migrants is one thing: work. They want a job, and the economy needs it. The economy needs their work. It's expected that immigrants will give a $7 trillion economic impact, positive economic impact in the next decade. That they contribute by paying local and state taxes, sales taxes. So they're already contributing when they go to a restaurant, when they go to a store, buy any goods or products that they pay the sales tax. But if you give them the ability to work, not only are they not on the shoulders of government in terms of benefits and health, they're able to contribute to the economy. So this is a shot in the arm for an economy that has an inflation rate that's very stubborn, as we saw in the news today and yesterday. Nothing could be better for our economy than to bring workers to sectors of the economy that needs them. And Ecuadorians are willing and ready to work. Let's give them that opportunity. Another question? Preguntas? Gracias. Thank you so much all for being here.